Big drama right from the get-go. The Seahawks paid a whopping $32 million for an NFL icon who might start the season on the bench. No, seriously. I'm Ethan Carter, and today's question is a simple one. How far will this crazy team rebuild go? We signed a Pro Bowler, and they're already talking about taking him out of the starting lineup. There's chatter about bringing in defensive line reinforcements and a veteran tight end, and they just cut a standout rookie. Is everything going according to plan, or is it all a mess? This coaching staff is pushing the limits. And for the diehard fans, are you trusting this plan, or are you starting to get nervous? All right, Seahawks fans, before we dive into the details of all the latest team news on this Wednesday, I've got one request for you. If you're watching the Seahawks Insider Report and you like our analysis but haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. It's crucial for the channel and for our community of Seahawks fans to keep growing. Thank you so much for your support. What happens when you pay $32 million for a four-time Pro Bowl veteran, and then you're already talking about putting him on the bench before the first snap? That's right. Seahawks fans, the Demarcus Lawrence situation isn't just controversial, it's symbolic. He arrived in Seattle as a big name, one of the pillars of the defensive overhaul. But according to Jacob Infante's bold prediction, he could start the season behind Derek Hall in the rotation. And as shocking as it sounds, the analysis makes sense. Hall is 24, had 8 sacks last year, and represents exactly the kind of explosiveness that Mike Macdonald loves to exploit in his hybrid formations. The Seahawks defense had the third best pressure rate in the NFL last year, and that was without Lawrence. Now think about it. Does this system, which was already sharp, really need a veteran who played only 4 games in 2024 because of a foot injury? And what's more, does Lawrence, at the height of his 32 years, still have enough gas in the tank to be the alpha of the pass rush? His statement in March was honest, maybe too honest. I knew I wasn't going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas, so I came here. But what if, ironically, he isn't the right guy to take us there? The good news is that Mike Macdonald is still all in on him. He called the guy very, very smart, praising his pre-snap reads and his versatility to play multiple positions on the line. The coaching staff even sees him as a valuable asset for specific situations, maybe less as a star and more as a tactical mentor. The problem? Uchenna Nwosu is on the PUP list. And without him being 100% guaranteed for the start of the season, the defensive line rotation needs real production. There's no room for a big name. You've got to deliver. If Lawrence isn't ready, Hall steps up. Simple as that. And that brings us to another tense point. Are the Seahawks going to wait for everything to sort itself out internally, or is more movement on the way? Because if history is any indication, Seattle isn't exactly thrilled with its current depth. Brock Hurst has already warned, with Uchenna's injury, I think the franchise might still go after another veteran. And when that kind of comment comes from someone so connected to the inner workings of the team, it's worth paying attention. Maybe the answer is out there on the market, maybe the name is already circulating internally, but before we talk about a possible new addition to the front seven, tell me, would you bet on the established name or on aggressive youth? Now get this, a name that few were considering could be the exact missing piece in the Seahawks defensive puzzle. John Kaminsky. Have you paid close attention to him? You should. The former Lion is 28 with 6 sacks and 66 tackles in the last 2 seasons. But it's not just the numbers, it's the fit. Kaminsky represents everything that Mike Macdonald and Aden Durda are demanding: tactical discipline, positional versatility, and physical delivery. He's the classic elite role player who doesn't shine in the spotlight but changes the silent workings of the defensive machine. And here's the most interesting detail. He's available. He's a free agent without any strings attached, coming off a contract that expired after an injury. In other words, a low-risk, high-reward addition. Kaminsky is the type of player you don't bring in to sell jerseys. You bring him in to stop a 3rd and 2 in the cold of December. With a projected cap hit of just $2.5 to $3 million, he fits perfectly into the $12 million that Seattle still has in cap space. And what's more, he fits like a glove in the base formations that use the 5 technique front. something Seattle is using more and more, especially to combat more physical running games like the 49ers. And in a scenario where Demarcus Lawrence is still adjusting and where Nwosu might start the year out, having someone like Kaminsky ready to occupy the edge of the line isn't a luxury. It's a necessity, but it doesn't stop there. The internal scouting department is already watching, and sources say he is considered matchable with Seattle's defensive packages, the kind of player who adapts to multiple schemes without losing his identity. The coaching staff values this to the extreme. McDonald has made it clear that he won't tolerate a drop in intensity in the rotation. And it was exactly this kind of attitude that Kaminsky showed in Detroit, being praised for maintaining consistency even on non-starting snaps. Remember what Mike Morris said recently? That the secret to the defense's success is synergy in the pressure? Well, there you go. Kaminsky is the kind of guy who enhances that. He's not going to make headlines on NFL Network, but he will force the QB to get rid of the ball a second sooner. And that changes the game. Now the question is, with the clock ticking until the end of training camp, will Seattle pull the trigger and sign this guy? Or will they wait for the current front to fall apart before they go scrambling for a replacement? Because while some are looking at the defensive side, others are starting to look at another sensitive spot, the offense. And in that department, there's an experienced name on the radar. You want offensive stability with rookies on the field and an inexperienced tight end? Then get ready, because the name that could fit like a glove on this offense is Hayden Hurst. That's right. The veteran former Bengal, Raven, and most recently Charger is a free agent and has become a real target for the Seahawks. And you want to know something? It makes perfect sense. Noah Fant is gone. We lost a reliable piece. 48 receptions and 500 yards in 2024 aren't negligible numbers. And now the tight end group is in the hands of A.J. Barner, Elijah Arroyo, and Eric Saubert. Promising guys? Yes. But no one there is a go-to guy. Hurst, on the other hand, is the guy you throw into the fire and he handles the pressure. Strong blocker, smart on medium routes, a leadership presence in the locker room, all the things Clint Kubiak needs to set up offensive packages with multiple tight ends and protect an adapting quarterback. And let's remember, the offense is being rebuilt from scratch. DK Metcalf is gone, Tyler Lockett too, Geno Smith was traded, and now we have Sam Darnold and probably a rookie looking for an identity. In this scenario, every experienced piece makes a difference. Hurst could be precisely the pivot of stability in this offensive chaos. The contract, cheap. It's estimated that Seattle could sign him for $1.1 to $1.3 million, practically a steal for the impact he could generate. And there's more. With about $12 million in cap space, they can sign him without hurting their current financial planning at all. But, as always, there's a but. Hurst had a serious injury in 2023, and even though he's back on the field, teams are still cautious. But in Seattle, the style of play and the load he would have would be very different. Less individual pressure, more team play. The fit with Eric Saubert, for example, is complementary. One does the dirty work, the other offers a safe route for the QB. The coaching staff knows this. Sources within the franchise guarantee that scouts have already mapped Hurst's impact in red zone and play-action situations. The conclusion? He opens up space, forces double coverage, and improves the performance of those around him. And he can do this without needing to be a superstar. Now think about what that could mean for guys like Jackson Smith-Njigba and Cooper Kupp. With Hurst on the field opens up, literally. And if Seattle really wants to speed up the adaptation of the offense, this is the missing piece. But while the front office is thinking, the roster is being adjusted, and one of those recent changes, by the way, caught everyone by surprise, including the way it was done. Cutting a promising rookie on the eve of training camp raises serious questions, and the question that remains, what's going on behind the scenes? It's like a bucket of cold water was thrown on the locker room. Right as training camp was heating up, the Seahawks cut cornerback Zy Alexander, a rookie who had been turning heads and who many believed could actually fight for a spot on the roster. And it wasn't just any old cut. Zai arrived in April as an undrafted free agent, but with a respectable college resume. 5 years in college, stints at Southeastern Louisiana and LSU, 174 tackles, 13 interceptions, and a starting spot in his last collegiate season. He was one of those finds that gets you excited, that creates expectations, that gets the most attentive fans talking. And then, out of nowhere, he's waived with a non-football injury designation. A sign, a message, or just another piece being moved on the rebuild chessboard. The fact is that this cut didn't come alone. In the same week, Noah Fant was released, in a clear attempt to adjust the cap, of course, but also an indication that the front office is willing to make tough decisions without looking back. Fant's cut, by the way, frees up about $7 million in salary cap space, which opens up even more room for moves like the possible signing of Hurst or another defensive line acquisition. But back to Zai Alexander. Sources close to the staff indicate that the player was doing well in practices and mini camps with solid performance in Cover 3, a system that Seattle uses frequently. Lance Zierlein, an analyst for NFL.com, even projected that he could become a starter in the league over time. So why cut him now? And with this kind of designation? The most plausible theory is that the player suffered some kind of physical limitation away from the team's facilities, which allows this move without major contractual burdens. But even so, the choice raises doubts, especially when, in the same cycle, Seattle signs Cam Alexander and nose tackle Justin Rogers. Cam, also an undrafted player, came from Oregon with a quiet season, but interesting stats from the previous year at UTSA. You know what that indicates? That the staff is betting on physical upside and defensive versatility, more than proven production or safety. The team seems to be looking to mold players within Mike Macdonald's culture, aggressive, disciplined, and adaptable. Zai, for some reason, didn't fit into that equation, at least not for now. But is that door really closed? He was cut, yes, but with a designation that leaves room for a possible return. And you know how the NFL works. Cut one day, re-sign the next. Now, with the storm past and roster adjustments made, the question that remains stuck in the fans' chest is, with so many changes, cuts, and bets, is this team closer to chaos or glory? A $32 million Pro Bowler could become a backup. An underrated role player could become a key piece. A discarded tight end could save the offense. And a promising rookie was thrown out before the game even started. Seattle is playing chess with dynamite. Every move seems calculated, but the risk is real. It's not just about talent, it's about identity. The question is brutal. Are we rebuilding a contender, or are we dismantling a team without knowing it? If this analysis reminded you why you still believe in the power of the 12th man, hit that like button and tell me in the comments, is there still hope in Seattle?